Picture this, the year is 2009. Drake is riding high, fresh on the scene, the new golden boy of hip-hop. But behind the shine and the charm, he wasn't just dropping bars, he was throwing shade so heavy it buried reputations alive. Back then, Drake wasn't afraid to throw dirt, exposing secrets and calling out rivals in ways that left the industry buzzing and the streets whispering. Fast forward to today, and that same dirt he gleefully tossed around has come full, circle landing right back at his doorstep. Fans are calling it karma, critics are calling it justice, and the music world, well, it's split down the middle. Because this time the accusations are darker, messier, and way more personal. Enter Aristo, a name Drake never expected would rise again. Back in 2009, Drake accused Aristo of crossing lines that no one in the industry dared to talk about, hinting at rumors that shook careers and friendships. Drake thought he'd buried Aristo with that scandal, but now? Now Aristo is the one pointing fingers and Drake is the one wiping tears in the spotlight. Did Drake play himself all those years ago? Is this the moment where past dirt becomes today's downfall? Buckle up, because what's coming next is straight up chaos. Part 1 of this story begins not in the present where accusations fly across social media, but way back in 2009 when Drake was still fighting for his place in hip-hop. He was young, eager, and desperate to prove that he wasn't just another actor turned rapper trying to ride a wave. So he went harder than anyone expected, throwing shade and dirt at anyone who stood in his way. One of the names caught in his crossfire back then was a lesser-known but equally ambitious artist named Aristo. Their feud wasn't just about music, it was personal. Tangled in jealousy, pride, and secrets the industry wasn't ready to talk about. Back in those days, Drake whispered and rapped about scandals that were supposed to destroy Aristo. He painted him as reckless, accused him of blurring dangerous lines, and made sure people believed he was someone not to be trusted. Fans remember those subliminals, the kind that felt like gossip wrapped in rhyme schemes, and they ate it up. The streets buzzed with rumors. Insiders said Drake wasn't just rapping, he was dropping real dirt. Aristo was stunned, blindsided, left scrambling to defend his name. The accusations were nasty, the whispers unforgiving. His career never fully recovered, and while Drake climbed the charts, Aristo faded into the shadows, carrying the weight of words that never left him. But what people didn't know then was that time has a way of flipping the script. Fast forward to now, and suddenly the tables are turned. Aristo isn't the one on the defense anymore. He's resurfaced, stronger, angrier, and with receipts of his own. And this time, it's Drake who's in the hot seat. The story begins unraveling when a video surfaced online just weeks ago. It wasn't some random fan footage, it was a carefully leaked clip that showed Drake in a private conversation, visibly stressed, muttering words like, "I should have never said that about Aristo, and it's coming back to haunt me." The internet lit up instantly. Fans who had forgotten about the old drama were suddenly reminded of 2009. Hashtags started trending. Old interviews and lyrics were dug up. And at the center of it all was one haunting question. What exactly did Drake do back then, and why is he so worried about it now? Sources close to Aristo claim that he's been holding on to evidence all these years, waiting for the right moment to strike back. One insider, supposedly a former friend of both Drake and Aristo, said in a leaked DM, Drake thought he buried Aristo. But Aristo's been digging this whole time, and now he's ready to bury Drake. Those words hit like dynamite across fan pages and hip-hop blogs. Behind the scenes, things were even messier. Drake's inner circle was reportedly divided. Some of his oldest friends were telling him to stay quiet, let the storm pass, while others insisted he should come clean before Aristo exposed everything. One unnamed associate was quoted saying, "He's scared, man. I haven't seen Drake like this in years. He's not sleeping, not eating right. He's worried the truth is finally gonna catch up with him." What truth are they talking about? That's where it gets complicated. The whispers say Drake back in 2009 didn't just accuse Aristo. Recklessly, he may have exaggerated or even fabricated parts of the story to make sure Aristo's name was dragged through the mud. If that's the case, then Drake essentially destroyed another man's career with lies. But here's where the plot thickens. Aristo is now accusing Drake of being guilty of the very same thing he accused him of all those years ago. In a shocking Instagram live, Aristo appeared looking calm but furious. He didn't shout, he didn't lose control, he simply looked at the camera and said, "You called me a monster when I wasn't. You painted me as something I never was. But now the same people who believed you are watching you do the very thing you accused me of. The difference is I stayed quiet. I let time do the talking. Now time's on my side." Fans were stunned. The comments section exploded. Thousands of viewers demanded to know what he meant. Was Aristo suggesting Drake had crossed the same line he accused him of as soon as that live ended? Speculation turned into chaos. Blogs ran headlines claiming Drake was facing accusations related to inappropriate behavior with someone much younger. Nothing was confirmed, but the whispers were enough to shake the internet. People started pulling up old clips of Drake with fans, awkward moments from interviews, and questionable lines in his music. Some defended him fiercely, saying he was being unfairly targeted. Others said this was karma, that the dirt he once threw was finally covering him. The drama didn't just stay online. Reportedly, Drake's team tried reaching out to Aristo privately, offering to settle things once and for all. Insiders claim Aristo refused. One alleged conversation leaked, in which Aristo was quoted saying, "You had no problem humiliating me in public. Why would I settle this in private now?" The tension between the two men became unbearable, and the industry couldn't stop watching. At one point, friends of Aristo revealed that he had kept journals, old emails, even voice messages from the late 2000s that painted a very different picture of what happened back then. If those receipts are real, it means Drake's entire narrative was built on shaky ground. People began wondering how much of Drake's rise was tied to someone else's fall. The emotional conflict was clear on both sides. Drake was panicked, struggling to keep his empire intact. He had endorsements, contracts, a global image at stake. Aristo, on the other hand, was reliving years of bitterness, finally tasting revenge. The fans were torn. Some felt sympathy for Drake, arguing that he was younger, immature, and maybe didn't realize the impact of his words back then. Others sided with Aristo, saying he had every right to finally fight back after being silenced. For so long, things took a darker turn when family members got involved. Drake's own relatives reportedly begged him to step away from the spotlight until things calmed down. One cousin told a blog, "He's breaking down. People think he's untouchable, but inside he's hurting. This is destroying him." Meanwhile, Aristo's brother posted a cryptic message on Twitter, "We never forgot what you did. You thought we were gone, but we were just waiting." With every passing day, the drama deepened. Fans started digging through 2009 interviews, looking for clues, and the more they found, the more the story spiraled out of control. What began as an old feud suddenly felt like the biggest scandal of the year, and just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse for Drake, Aristo dropped another bombshell, teasing that he had a recording from 2009 that could change everything. He didn't say what was on it, but the way he smiled when he mentioned it left fans convinced that something explosive was on the horizon. In the middle of the frenzy, Drake broke his silence for the first time. He posted a short, almost cryptic message on Instagram. "Don't believe everything they feed you. The truth always wins." The comments went wild. Some fans rallied to defend him, insisting he was being targeted unfairly, but others weren't buying it. "Funny how you said the same thing about Aristo in 2009, one user commented. Another added, "Karma's knocking, answer the door." The internet was ruthless, and for the first time in a long time, Drake wasn't controlling the narrative. He was drowning in it. Behind the scenes, things were even messier. Insiders leaked that Drake had called a late-night emergency meeting with his team. They were scrambling, trying to figure out how to spin the story before Aristo dropped his so-called recording. One member of Drake's crew reportedly told a journalist he's not himself right now. He keeps pacing, keeps saying, "What if he really has it? It's eating him alive." Aristo, on the other hand, was thriving in the spotlight. He started appearing in interviews, each one more explosive than the last. In one sit-down, he said, "I stayed quiet for years. I watched him become the biggest name in music while I was stuck in the shadows. But what people don't understand is I never forgot. And now I don't have to say much. Time and truth are doing the talking for me." The interviewer pushed him, asking directly if Drake's accusations from 2009 were false. Aristo smirked and said, "False isn't even the word. Fabricated. Made up. Weaponized." The audience gasped, and within hours, clips of the interview were everywhere. As this drama unfolded, fans weren't the only ones taking sides. Other artists began weighing in. Some of Drake's peers defended him, saying the industry thrives on tearing down successful people. Others quietly threw their support behind Aristo, suggesting that Drake had stepped on too many people to get where he was. A well-known rapper tweeted, "Funny how the same dirt you throw comes back when you least expect it." Another artist posted an old photo with Aristo captioned, "We never forgot. Respect the ones who kept it real." The industry was split, and every new comment only fueled the fire. Family drama also continued to spill into the public eye. Aristo's mother, who had stayed quiet for years, gave an emotional interview where she said, "My son was painted as a monster. People crossed the street to avoid him. He lost friends, he lost opportunities, he lost himself for a long time. All because someone with more power and a bigger stage decided to lie." Do you know what that does to a family? It tears you apart. But we prayed, we waited, and now the truth is finally coming out. Fans were heartbroken hearing her words, and sympathy for Aristo grew stronger by the day. Meanwhile, Drake's emotional state was unraveling. A close friend allegedly told a podcast host that Drake broke down in tears one night, saying, "I didn't think he'd come back like this. I thought it was over. I thought people forgot." The image of Drake crying, the once untouchable superstar now shaking under the weight of his past, shocked fans. Some mocked him, saying it was about time he felt what Aristo once felt. Others worried about his mental health, urging people not to celebrate another man's downfall. But the most shocking twist of part 2 came when Aristo teased that he wasn't the only one with receipts. In a cryptic tweet, he wrote, "When I speak, others will speak too. It won't just be me." The internet erupted again. Did this mean more people were ready to come forward against Drake? Were there others who had stayed silent all these years? The possibility of multiple voices exposing him sent fans spiraling. Drake, feeling the walls closing in, decided to fight back more directly. He scheduled a surprise appearance on a popular late-night show, something no one saw coming. When the host asked him about the controversy, Drake's smile was thin, his voice strained. "People love drama," he said. "They love to see someone successful dragged down. But the truth is, I know who I am. I know what I did and what I didn't do, and I'll never let lies destroy me." He tried to laugh it off, but viewers noticed the tension in his eyes, the way he avoided certain questions. Clips of the interview spread online, and instead of reassuring fans, it only made them more suspicious. Aristo pounced on the opportunity. Within hours, he posted on his story, "Funny how he still won't say my name, scared much." The shade was brutal, and fans loved it. Comment sections filled with memes, jokes, and heated debates. The tension between the two men was now at a boiling point, and everyone was waiting for the next move. The night of the release, Aristo went live. His face appeared on screen, calm but with fire in his eyes. He didn't start with the recording right away. Instead, he looked into the camera and said, "In 2009, someone decided my life, my career, and my family's peace were expendable. He thought destroying me would make him bigger. But now it's time for the truth." The comments section went wild. Viewers were typing, "Drop it already," and "We're ready." After a long pause, he pressed play. The audio began crackling, clearly recorded years ago. It was Drake's voice, younger, cockier, and filled with arrogance. "Man, nobody's gonna care about Aristo. He's done. I'll make sure people know what kind of man he is. Watch how fast they'll turn on him when I say it." One verse and he's finished. The words were damning. Fans froze. It wasn't just a diss, it was a premeditated plan to destroy Aristo's reputation. Drake had admitted it himself. The internet exploded instantly. Clips of the recording spread across every platform within minutes. Hashtags like #Drake exposed and #justice for Aristo trended worldwide. Fans who had once doubted Aristo were now forced to confront the truth. He hadn't been exaggerating all these years. Drake really had plotted to bury him, but it didn't stop there. The recording continued with even more chilling lines. Drake could be heard laughing, saying, "They'll believe anything if it comes from me. I'll throw him under the bus and he won't even know what hit him." The arrogance was undeniable, and the betrayal was clear. As fans processed the bombshell, Drake's team went into full panic mode. Within hours, his lawyers issued a statement claiming the recording was edited and misleading, but fans weren't buying it. The voice was unmistakably his, and the tone matched everything people remembered from Drake in 2009. Memes flooded. Timelines showing Drake's downfall in real time. One viral tweet read, "You threw dirt, now you're buried in it." Drake himself finally addressed it on his Instagram Live, visibly shaken. "That was over a decade ago," he said, his voice trembling. "I was young, I was stupid, I didn't know the power of my words. But I never meant for it to go that far." Instead of sympathy, his words only fueled the fire. Comments poured in, "Too late for apologies, so you admit it, and you ruined a man's life." Aristo, meanwhile, basked in the wave of vindication. He posted a photo of himself smiling with the caption, "The truth always wins." Fans cheered him on, calling it his redemption arc. Artists who had once stayed silent began congratulating him publicly. One singer tweeted, "Years of lies finally undone. Respect to Aristo for surviving that storm." But the story took an even darker twist. Just days after the recording dropped, another leak surfaced, this time from someone allegedly connected to Aristo's camp. It wasn't audio. It was screenshots of emails supposedly from Drake's old management team, discussing how to amplify the rumors about Aristo to ensure he wouldn't compete with Drake. The emails read like a strategy guide for character assassination. Phrases like, "Make sure people think he's unstable," and "We can spin this into something darker," left fans horrified. The leaks painted a picture of a calculated campaign, not just a heated feud. Drake wasn't just throwing dirt in passing, he and his team were actively working to bury Aristo's career. The betrayal felt bigger than music. It felt personal, cold, and ruthless. Emotions ran high everywhere. Aristo's family gave another statement, this time through his sister, who said, "Do you know what it's like to watch someone you love suffer because of lies? Do you know what it's like to hold them when they break down, knowing the world believes something that isn't true? Drake stole more than my brother's career, he stole years of his life." Fans were in tears hearing her words, and the sympathy for Aristo deepened even further. Drake's family, on the other hand, was reportedly in shambles. One of his uncles allegedly told a journalist, "We don't even recognize him anymore. He's not the same kid we knew. He's lost in the fame, and now it's crashing down." The division within his camp grew worse. Some urged him to fight back legally, while others begged him to step away from the spotlight before he lost everything. As if that weren't enough, Aristo revealed he wasn't done yet. In another post, he wrote, "This is only part one. There's more." Fans lost their minds. What could be worse than the recording and the emails? Speculation ran wild. Was there video evidence, more confessions, or even testimonies from others Drake had allegedly sabotaged? At this point, the entire industry was watching with bated breath. One journalist described it as the slow motion collapse of a superstar's empire. Endorsements were suddenly on hold. Business partners reportedly grew nervous. Even some fans who defended Drake for years admitted they didn't know how to feel anymore. Drake's single quotes as emotional breakdown deepened. Insiders claim he canceled studio sessions, stopped answering calls, and locked himself away in his mansion for days. One friend said, "He's spiraling. He doesn't trust anyone. He keeps saying, 'They're all turning on me.'" The once confident star now looked like a man consumed by paranoia. On a Friday night, Aristo finally delivered. He released a full-length documentary-style video on his YouTube channel titled simply "The Truth." Within minutes, hundreds of thousands of people were watching live. The video wasn't flashy, it was raw. It opened with footage of Aristo sitting in a dimly lit studio, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. For years, he began, "I carried shame that didn't belong to me. I lived with lies that were planted to ruin me. Tonight, I'm setting myself free." The video then cut to never-before-seen clips from 2009. One of them showed Aristo backstage at a small venue, visibly distraught, saying to a friend, "I don't know why he's saying these things, it's not true. People believe him because he's Drake. I can't fight that." Fans watching were in tears. It was a heartbreaking glimpse of a man broken by false accusations, his career slipping away before his eyes. But the most shocking moment came halfway through the documentary. Aristo played another recording, this one a phone call allegedly between Drake and an anonymous industry executive. In it, Drake's voice could be heard saying, "I don't care what happens to him. If people think he's messed up, that's on him. As long as they're not looking at me, I'm good." The coldness of the words stunned viewers. It was no longer about competition, it sounded like calculated sabotage. The fallout was immediate. Fans, already shaken by the previous leaks, declared this the final nail in the coffin. Comments poured in. "I can't support Drake anymore. This is pure evil and Aristo deserves justice." The hashtag boycott Drake trended worldwide. Artists who had once collaborated with Drake suddenly unfollowed him on social media. A silent but powerful statement. Drake's camp scrambled desperately to contain the chaos. His lawyers threatened legal action against Aristo, calling the recordings doctored and defamatory. But by then, the damage was done. The public had already made up its mind. People weren't just questioning Drake's music, they were questioning his entire legacy. Behind closed doors, Drake was said to be unraveling completely. Insiders claimed he barely spoke to anyone, shutting himself off from friends and family. One source revealed he just sits in his room replaying everything in his head, saying, "How did it come to this? He feels like everyone has abandoned him." His mother reportedly tried to comfort him, but even she admitted to friends that she didn't know how to help. Meanwhile, Aristo's star began to rise again. Interview requests flooded in, and fans who once dismissed him now celebrated him as a survivor who had endured years of silence and humiliation. In one powerful interview, he said, "This was never just about revenge. This was about telling the truth. I needed people to see what lies can do to a man, to his family, to his soul. I lost everything once. I wasn't going to let that happen again." His words resonated deeply, and for the first time in years, Aristo was being recognized not as a scandal, but as an artist and a man who had endured the storm. But the drama didn't end there. In the weeks following the documentary, new voices emerged. Several up-and-coming artists claimed Drake had also sabotaged their careers, using his influence to keep them from getting opportunities. One young rapper posted a video saying, "I was warned about him. They told me not to cross Drake or I'd never work again. I thought it was just talk, but seeing what he did to Aristo now, I know it was real." Suddenly, it wasn't just one man's story. It was a pattern. The industry was rocked to its core. Questions about power, manipulation, and truth in hip-hop filled every conversation. Fans were divided. Some still defended Drake fiercely, insisting the evidence was exaggerated or fake. Others believed this was a long overdue exposure of a superstar who had built his empire on broken backs. The emotional stakes couldn't have been higher. Drake faced the possibility of losing endorsements, friends, and even his spot at the top of the charts. Aristo, after years in the shadows, was finally free of the dirt that had buried him, standing tall in his redemption. Families on both sides were left shaken. Drake's fractured by guilt and isolation. Aristo's bound together by long-awaited vindication. And then came one final twist. Aristo revealed he had received a private message from Drake himself. He didn't share the whole thing, but he posted a screenshot of the opening lines. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry." The post broke the internet. Fans debated endlessly, was Drake finally admitting guilt? Or was it just another attempt to save face? Aristo didn't comment further, leaving the mystery hanging in the air.